This is our last outdoor concert on the Plaza for this summer, but I do have another concert coming up in October that I want to tell you about. It's on Saturday, October 3rd, and it features Greg Pauly, who's a fabulous classical pianist from Concord, and that one will be held inside. And that day is also part of the Art Walk Nashua weekend. So that is a weekend when local galleries and studios are open to the public. And we hope you'll kind of plan your day so that at 3:30 you can come over here and hear the concert. If you want to get reminders of that concert and of other events going on at the library, come on up to the table and sign up for our email list. Also, there are programs for tonight's concert. They're up here on the table too. And inside the program is a survey about this concert series. So if you could fill that out and bring it back up to the yellow box before you leave, that'll really help us to plan next year's concert series. The concert tonight is being filmed for ETV, which is Channel 99. If you get Comcast cable in Nashua, you'll be able to watch this concert, and some of the other ones are being shown on there too. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Colonial Brass.
Oh, good evening, Nashua. How are y'all doing tonight? Can you hear me okay in the back? Good? Great. Well, we are the Colonial Brass. We are members of the Air Force Band of Liberty. We are stationed at Hanscom Air Force Base down in Bedford, Massachusetts, just a little short drive from here up in the beautiful Nashua. Beautiful night tonight for us to play. We were kind of wondering if it was going to rain, because it was raining on and off all day, so happy to be outside. So let's have a good concert tonight. As I said, my name is Steve Scove. Maybe I said that, maybe I didn't. But I hail from Fargo, North Dakota. So I've been in the band. Hey, some people from Fargo. All right. Glad you can make it. I've been in the band for about 8 years. I play tuba, I play bass, and I'm also the sound guy. So if anybody has any complaints about the sound, you got to come talk to me. So we have a bunch of music to play for you tonight. A little something for everybody. First tune we played was a piece by George Gershwin titled "Strike Up the Brass," and that was arranged by a guy named Al Parr, who used to play in this band. He used to play out in Europe as well, and he arranged that tune for us. Really fun tune. Next tune we're going to play for you is a tune by Rossini. It's an overture to the opera The Italian in Algiers, and just a quick synopsis. It's about an Italian that goes to Algiers. So it's an Italian lady. Her fiance gets abducted by the Sultan of Algiers, and she goes over to Algiers, and it's a comedy, so it's not a dark opera. Goes over there and kind of entices the Sultan to release her fiance. It's actually a comedy. I kind of made it sound boring, so we're just going to go ahead and start it up, and I'm going to stop talking. So here's hope you'll enjoy the overture to The Italian in Algiers by Rossini.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed that last selection. We're going to play the first of a series of marches for you tonight. This one is probably going to be by the most famous march composer that you'll probably know, John Philip Sousa. And it is entitled The Fairest of the Fair. Now this one it's not as well known as Stars and Stripes Forever or The Thunderer or some of the other ones, but it's definitely not his most obscure one either, so you may recognize it. But anyways, we're going to do 3 marches tonight, and this one is from about the middle of the period, and tempo-wise, it's also the middle. English marches are typically very slow and stately. This one is in between, and later we're going to play a Spanish march, which is almost a circus march tempo. But the story behind this march is that it was premiered in 1908, actually down in Boston, at the Boston Food Festival. And it was actually, it was written about a young woman that Sousa had seen a few years earlier at another exposition. Never met her, never found out what her name was, but definitely admired her from across the way, and it was enough to inspire him to write one of his greatest marches, maybe not his most well-known, but definitely one of his better marches. So I'm going to play for you Sousa's The Fairest of the Fair.
Well, good evening, folks. My name is Staff Sergeant Cheryl Pretula, And I've been in the Air Force for about 11 years, and I've been with the Hanscom Band for about 1 year now. My previous assignments were in Southern Virginia at Langley, a couple of years in Germany at Sembach Air Force Base, and I started out in Northern California at Travis, up in pretty close to Napa Valley. So, fourth assignment in 11 years. Hopefully I'll get to cool my heels for a while. I'm really enjoying New England. It's like no place I've ever seen before. A little bit like Germany, but I kind of like it here a little bit better. I understand the language a lot better. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that march. The next piece we're going to play for you is one of our feature pieces for the night, and hopefully you like George Gershwin. A little bit? Yes? Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you. I was going to say, gosh, I hope I'm not the only one. Anyway, I'm sure many of you are familiar with a lot of George Gershwin's songs, musicals he wrote, and he also did some orchestral composing as well. He was fond of taking vacations here and there. He'd taken at least one to Cuba and a couple to Paris. Once upon a time in Paris in 1926, he started out sort of writing a little bit. He returned to Paris in 1928 after a particularly long, taxing Broadway season. How that can be taxing, I don't know, but a lot of entertainment, I'm sure. Nonetheless, took an extended vacation in Paris and came back with An American in Paris. I'm sure many of you are familiar, thank you. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the orchestral piece. You might also know that it was also a movie later on, I think around the 1950s. Gene Kelly and Leslie Caron did this huge dance scene towards the end of the movie. And actually the dance was written to fit the music. It's about 20 minutes worth of incredible dancing and wonderful music. What we're going to play for you is a slightly abridged version of An American in Paris. And it will still hit all the high points. You'll hear the car horns, and you'll hear the little bit of jazz in there as he's sort of reminiscing about the United States when he's, stumbled into a cafe and he's daydreaming. And then it'll end, of course, on the up notes, the happy, triumphant car horns or whatnot. So we hope you enjoy George Gershwin's An American in Paris.
Please excuse the interruption, but once again, if you're parked out back here, you need to be at a meter. There is a tow truck there now, and if you're parked at a space without a meter, that means you're in a private lot, so you need to move your car. Thank you.
Well, we hope you liked Gershwin's American in Paris. Maybe so. We like it too. Hi, my name is Andy Tucker. I'm a staff sergeant, 8 years now in this band. I've been stationed here in Boston the whole time. I'm loving it so far. They can't kick me out. Maybe they can. I don't know. I'll be playing percussion and bike horns for you tonight. Honk honk. Except I already did. So I do have a wind instrument, so I do kind of belong with these people. Because they all blow wind through their instruments, and I'm the only one that's just stepping and hitting things. But anyway, next up for you, we have the next of our marches. And we're going to take you back to the Renaissance period, to about 1590, the time of Queen Elizabeth and Shakespeare over in England, across the pond there. And our English composer, whose name I'm losing, someone? Anyone? William Byrd. William Byrd, our English composer, was one of the top Renaissance English composers of the day. He wrote mostly vocal music, mostly, what do you call it, spiritual, holy music for church, choral, vocal singing. But we have one of his instrumental works, and this is going to be the Earl of Oxford's March, which is originally for harpsichord and retranscribed for brass quintet and a drum. Why not? We'll throw a drum in there too. So William Byrd's The Earl of Oxford March.
All right, we hope you enjoyed that last march selection. This next march we're going to play for you is going to be completely different in style and tempo and origin even as well. It's actually not a march at all. It's actually a Spanish paso doble. We keep it in our march book because it's got a lot of the attributes that marches have. It's got a dogfight section, a lyrical trio type section, and a really loud and boisterous fanfare-ish beginning. It's actually a Spanish march. It's written by the Spanish composer Jaime Teodor. It was written and premiered in 1925 and is quite a bit faster than this last march we played, faster even than the Sousa Fair the Fair that we played before. So hold on, and here is Amparito Roca by Jaime Teodor.
Good evening. My name is Technical Sergeant Lawrence Price. I'm originally from Bethesda, Maryland, and I'm the non-commissioned officer in charge of this group, which is an Air Force fancy way of saying that if you like what you heard tonight, are we doing okay, by the way? Good. Good. If you like what you've heard tonight, and I encourage you to say so, please feel free to contact our website, which is, I'll give it to you real fast, www.bandofliberty.af.mil. And kind of hard thing to remember, so if you just do a search on Google or Yahoo or whatever you like to use on the internet for Band of Liberty, that will probably eventually get you to us. And there's a place where you can write in your comments whether you like this or did not like it. In any case, if you like what we did, then the comments go into our commander, Captain Dave Alpar, and he brings all of us into a room and says, "Oh, you guys are doing a good job. Keep up the good work." If you did not like what we've played for you tonight, then he takes me alone into his office and lets me know exactly what he thinks of the job that we're doing or not doing. I hope it will be positive. I hope that you will give us constructive criticism if you do so. We try to vary our programs as much as we can to demonstrate the versatility of the group that we have and all the different styles of music that we can play. We're going to try our hand at another different style of music. This is actually a piece that was written and premiered in 1928, the same year as American in Paris. However, musically, just worlds apart. It is music from the show The Threepenny Opera by the German composer Kurt Weill, and he collaborated with the German poet and playwright Bertolt Brecht for the libretto on this thing, and came up with the Threepenny Opera. It's actually a redo of an opera from 200 years prior, from 1728. A British composer named John Gay came out with a thing called the Beggar's Opera, and basically it's a story of the hero is a lovable rogue and pickpocket, a thief named Macheath. And Macheath lives in London, in the seedy underground of London, right prior to the coronation of Queen Victoria. And he has secretly married Polly Peachum, who is the daughter of the King of Thieves. And the King of Thieves does not like this, because after all, he thinks this lowly thief ought to be not married to his daughter. They are, after all, royalty in the Thieves. And so therefore nobody deserves his daughter. So he sets out to destroy the marriage and has Macheath arrested. Macheath gets away, and he is arrested again. And on the eve of his execution, Queen Victoria, the newly crowned Queen Victoria, grants him a pardon and says, okay, we all, just as I'm starting my reign over England, we're all able to start anew, and he is given a full pardon. Not only the pardon, but he is given a mansion, and he is given a yearly pension. So the moral of that story, at least from 1728, is that there is good and repentance in all of us, and so forth. Now, fast forward 200 years, and we're in the Germany of 1928. They've just lost the First World War, and things are not going too well in Germany. So a lot of the music of Kurt Weill kind of reflects the cynicism and the basic downer mood that there is in Germany. This fellow Macheath is not nearly as lovable. In fact, he's about as lovable as Jack the Ripper. Not a very nice guy at all. He's a murderer and a cutthroat, in addition to being a pickpocket, and he's given a new name in the new version. He's given the name of Mac the Knife. Not a very nice guy at all. And the story is basically the same. The characters are basically the same. He's just a much less sympathetic fellow. And we're going to play four short pieces from the opera, the Threepenny Opera. The first is the overture, which is a real short, rather ugly piece. And why would we want to subject you to ugly music? Well, it sets the whole tone of the opera, which is basically set in pretty ugly times in a pretty ugly setting. So you hear this kind of nasty music, and after it's just about a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes long, it leaves you kind of thinking, huh? But that's exactly what this overture is supposed to be about. And in the opera, the next thing that happens after the overture is a rather shabbily dressed beggar comes out, and he's got a crank organ, a hurdy-gurdy, and he sings the ballad of Mac the Knife. And that kind of gives you a little bit of a background story about our main character, who is, again, he's setting it up that he's just not a very nice fellow. Now, the version that you're going to hear is not the happy-go-lucky Dixieland version of Louis Armstrong, and it's not the swinging big band version of Bobby Darin from the 50s, but this is the nasty kind of sinister version from 1928, as it originally appeared and occurred to audiences in 1928. The next piece that we go, and let me remind you of the first stanza of the Ballad of Mac the Knife. Oh, the shark has pretty teeth, dear, and he shows them, pearly white. Just a jackknife has Macheath, dear, and he keeps it out of sight. Pretty nasty, sinister fellow. So we go on to the next piece, which is called the Instead Of song. And that's Mr. Peachum and his wife that are singing together about how these rich people from London society are walking around in London with their noses stuck up in the air, not paying attention to their whereabouts, and instead of paying attention to their whereabouts, they're just talking and conversing and whatever. And they deserve, therefore, to get their pockets picked and their purses stolen and everything, and therefore the Peachums are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, because these people are doing whatever instead of paying attention of their whereabouts. And then the last movement is called the Army Song, and in this one, Mac the Knife and his friend are recalling what great fun they had in the army when they were actually allowed to go kill people. And he's saying, and how much fun they had, and how that was good training for the jobs that they have nowadays. And the chorus for that is, let's all go barmy, we'll join the army, see the world we never saw. If we get feeling down, we'll go into town. And if the public should treat us with indignation, we'll chop them to bits because we like our hamburgers raw. Nice guy, huh? Please enjoy these four rather quirky little movements from the Threepenny Opera by Kurt Weill.
Good evening. How's everyone doing? Marvelous. Well, we're going to play some jazz for you guys. You guys ready for that? Yeah. All right. Well, the first tune we're going to play is called Undecided, and it was written by a trumpet player by the name of Charlie Shavers. Charlie Shavers was born in 1920 and died in 1971. He played with the Benny Goodman Band and also with Tommy Dorsey. If you go back and listen to some of his recordings, he kind of sounds like Roy Eldridge. So if you're familiar with Roy Eldridge and not Charlie Shavers, he definitely kind of sounds like Roy Eldridge. So right now we're going to play one of his most popular compositions called Undecided. How many of you guys are familiar with Johnny Warrington? Johnny Warrington, anybody? Oh, we got a hand in the back. All right. Well, Johnny Warrington is kind of an obscure figure in the jazz scene, in the jazz world. He had a big band that was broadcasting in Philadelphia back in the 30s and the 40s. His claim to fame, or you could say what he brought to the jazz world, were number one, his compositions, but number two, somebody in his band became a icon of the instrument, and that's Jerry Mulligan. Jerry Mulligan was in Johnny Warrington's band. How many of you guys are familiar with Jerry Mulligan? All right. Jerry Mulligan played baritone saxophone, and he was responsible, along with other people, to create the West Coast jazz scene. So right now we're going to play a tune by the name of Walkin' Easy, written by Johnny Warrington, and it kind of has that West Coast jazz vibe to it. So I hope you enjoy Walking Easy by Johnny Warrington. was Walking Easy by Johnny Warrington. We're going to play a little trivia game. How many guys know who wrote the tune Caravan? Anyone? 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 You think? No. Close. Close. Very close. He was a member of Duke Ellington's band. He played trombone, valve trombone to be exact. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Besides Dave Dell and Amanda Dell? Anybody? Anybody? Juan Teasel. Juan Teasel. He played valve trombone in Duke Ellington's band. And we're going to play one of his most famous compositions besides Caravan, Perdido. How many guys are familiar with the Duke Ellington, Juan Teasel chart, Perdido? All right, all right. Well, Juan Teasel was from Puerto Rico, and he played in Duke Ellington's band during the 50s and the 60s. So we're going to play Perdido by Juan Teasel. the Duke Ellington famous chart. All right. There were a couple of people in Duke Ellington's band that were from the Boston area. I say are because I still think they're alive when I listen to the music. But there are 3 individuals from the Boston area that were in Duke Ellington's sax section. So you could say that Boston had a big part in making the Duke Ellington saxophone sound. On baritone saxophone, you had Harry Carney, he was from Boston. On lead alto, Johnny Hodges, he was from Cambridge. And on lead tenor saxophone, the infamous Paul Gonsalves, he was from Brockton, Massachusetts. So a bit of trivia for you guys if you guys are into the Duke Ellington band. Right now we're going to play another tune, once again from the Duke Ellington book, called Sea Jam Blues. Hope you enjoy it. How about Staff Sergeant Scove on the bass? Not only is he a power lifter, but he's also a tuba player and a bass player and a sound man. So unfortunately, he's getting out of the service in a couple months, going to school at NEC, but he'll still be around so we can hang out and all that kind of good stuff. The last tune we're going to play, as far as our popular music stuff, is a tune by the name of The Chicken. And it was written by Pee Wee Ellis, who was a tenor saxophone player in James Brown's band back in the 50s and the 60s. Pee Wee Ellis also wrote Cold Sweat. I don't know if you guys are James Brown fans, or if you're familiar with his tune Cold Sweat, but Pee Wee Ellis also wrote that one. Jaco Pastorius was a bass player from the Florida area, and he made this tune very popular back in the 70s and the early 80s. Jaco Pastorius is considered one of the geniuses of jazz bass. His claim to fame was electric bass and playing fusion, which is the combination of jazz and rock. So right now we're going to play Pee Wee Ellis's The Chicken, made famous by Jaco Pastorius.
Well, thank you very, very much. We really appreciate your coming out to hear us tonight. We have one more piece that we'd like to do. We are a military band, of course, and you would not come to one of our concerts without expecting us to hear without expecting to hear some marches and some American music, and played some jazz and a variety of things. But one thing that we take very, very seriously is our role with the public affairs and public relations branch of the military. We wear these uniforms very, very proudly, and we're very, very proud to represent to you folks the. We're very proud to represent to you folks the thousands of people that also wear military uniforms that are often out in harm's way, but doing their jobs with excellence, with pride, with loyalty to this country. They're doing much less glamorous jobs than the ones that we get to do. We get to interface with you, play for you, and we get to hear your applause, and that's very, very, very marvelous. But a lot of folks that are doing a lot of things to keep us very safe, and we like to think that we are representing all of those people, not just the men and women in blue, but also in green and white and black, and wearing all of the uniforms of the United States military. We'd like to end our concert, as we end all of our concerts, with a medley of the service songs of the United States military. Now, there's a proper protocol to doing this, and the order that we're going to do things, we're going to start with our senior service. That's the United States Army. So you'll first hear the caisson song. Then we go to the Navy. You'll hear Anchors Aweigh. Out of the Navy came the Marines. So you'll hear the Marines hymn. Then the Coast Guard. And then last is the baby service, the youngest one, which is the United States Air Force. We grew out of the U.S. Army Air Corps just 62 years ago. So we're the youngest folks, and therefore we go last. So here's what I'd like to ask you to do. I've been in the Air Force for over 20 years, and I've been playing this at the end of all of our songs, so I pretty much have it memorized, and I think most of the people here on stage have this medley memorized. So what I'd like to ask you to do is, if you have served, or you know someone, have a relative or a good friend that has served or is serving in one of the branches of the United States military, when you hear that school fight song played, we ask that you give us a wave, or stand up, or sing along, or hoop and holler, whatever it is that you do. I need to try and keep my seat during this piece. However, I have an uncle that was in the Army. My father was in the Navy. I have a nephew that's in the Marines. Don't know anybody that's in the Coast Guard. And I know a whole bunch of people that are in the Air Force. So if you have a favorite branch of the military, then certainly hoop and holler and root for those folks. If you're kind of on the fence or don't have a favorite branch of the military, remember who's been playing for you all evening. We'd like to thank you very, very much for coming out to hear us. I've got these spotlights in my eyes, so I know that you're out there because I can hear you breathing, but I know you're there. I'd like to remind you again of our website, www.bandofliberty.af, as in Air Force, .mil, as in military, and again, you can just do a search for Band of Liberty and find our website. It will give you an opportunity to give us comments or criticisms, and also give you an idea of what some of our other groups are doing, if we're going to be in your area, or upcoming events, and let you know a little bit more about our band and what we do. Folks, thank you very much for coming out to hear us, and we'd like to end with the service songs of the United States military.